Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. This is Krishna Dasa. So today we are going to start chapter 10, a very important milestone for us. Before we begin, I will say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Let's play the Guru Mantra.
Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So I will play the shlokas now. It's 10.1 to 10.6. And I have already shared the translations. So you can look at that as well.
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः विभूतियोगः श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः यो मामजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढः समत्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावो भयं चाभयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिस्तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाता येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः.
Hare Krishna. So I think today Sulataji is going to read.
Yes, it's Sulathaji's turn. Sorry, Sulathaji, Hare Krishna. I missed to message you personally. You're okay to read now?
Yes. I'm fine.
Thanks.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna. The blessed Lord said, listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, to my supreme divine knowledge, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall reveal them to you. 10.2 Neither the hosts of gods nor the great sages know my origin, for I am the source of gods and great sages in every way. 10.3 Whoever knows me as the unborn, beginningless, and the supreme Lord of all the worlds, that person, undeluded among mortals, is liberated from all sins. 10.4 Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, calmness, happiness, distress, birth, death, fear and fearlessness. 10.5 Non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. These various qualities of living beings arise from me alone. 10.6 The 7 great sages, the 4 great saints before them, and the 14 Manus are all born from my mind, and from them all the people of the world have descended. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much. Beautiful. So thus begins chapter 10. Okay, so this chapter is also known as Vibhuti Yoga, which means the yoga of divine manifestations. So Vibhuti basically means power of manifestation. God in the manifested state. We have already discussed many times that we can look at God either as the Nirguna aspect, which is what the Mayavadis do, or we can look at God as the personal aspect, which is the Bhaktivadis. That is what they focus on. So this is more for the Bhakti Yogis. So it's for us. So in chapter 9, we learned how to live and work in the world and still practice bhakti and still make progress in the path of spiritual realization. That is a basic philosophy. And so although we have seen both the mention of the unmanifested aspect as well as the manifested aspect, the emphasis is on the manifested form of Krishna. So in this chapter, Krishna is revealing his omnipresence and his divine nature, and he explains how he permeates everything in creation. So in 10.8, Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this, they engage in my devotional service and they worship me with all their hearts. That is pretty much the purpose why Shri Krishna is explaining his Vibhutis. Now in chapter 9, I hope you all remember chapter 9, we just finished. So I hope the memory is fresh. So we discussed what was the central theme of chapter 9. Who wants to give me some ideas?
One was
It's a Rajvidyan Rajakugya. It's a Kugya means it's a secret. And what is the secret behind to attain the God? And
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Anybody else? What was, if I have to ask you, what is one key you want?
Ananta
Ananya Chintan. Very nice. Now, what does Ananya Chintan, what is it part of? So when you say you have to practice Ananya Chintan, it is part of Kevala Bhakti. So chapter 9, we can say that the central idea of chapter 9 was Kevala Bhakti. And Ananya Chintan is a way of practicing Kevala Bhakti. But I'm so happy that everybody is identifying it with Ananya Chintan, because that definitely is the key aspect. Bananiji, you were saying something?
What is Kevala Bhakti? What is Kevala Bhakti?
So there are two things. One is Mishra Bhakti and one is Kevala Bhakti. Mishra Bhakti means you are doing other yoga and you are mixing bhakti into it. So you can say that I am doing Ashtanga Yoga, but while doing Ashtanga Yoga, I am also thinking of God. So that is Mishra Bhakti. Whereas when you say Kevala Bhakti, you are saying whole and soul, I am only practicing Bhakti Yoga.
Oh.
Bhakti is primary. Yeah. That was the theme of chapter 9, where Shri Krishna spoke about Ananya Chintan. Now in this chapter, Krishna will go deeper into the manifestations of the divine around us. And Krishna is illustrating his presence in various aspects of creation. And Krishna will explain how he is everywhere and he is in everything. You can talk either about the radiance of the sun, or you can talk about the strength of the mighty warriors. He says they're all him and his aspects. It's his strength, his divinity, how he permeates everything. That realization is very profound. That realization helps us establish ourselves really strongly on the path of bhakti. Once you understand the magnanimity, once you understand the divinity, then you cannot help but feel bhakti. That is the whole idea. Do you remember many months ago we discussed about that example of how a man comes home, his servant tells him that somebody gave him some stone and he paid some money for it. So he says, I found a stone, somebody sold a stone and I got a stone. And this master looks at that stone and he's not interested. He's like, what nonsense is this? He just throws the stone away and But then later on, somebody tells him that, oh, that is a precious diamond. I mean, it is worth millions of dollars. And suddenly his love for that stone grows. Now he suddenly goes searching for the stone. He finds the stone. He protects it. He keeps it in his safe almirah. And every day he will look at it 2 times. What changed? It was the same stone. It was the same man. What changed was the knowledge. The knowledge of the divinity or knowledge of the value of that stone. Just like that, if somebody just says God, but what is God? If you don't understand, then how can you have that kind of devotion and bhakti? So Krishna goes into all these lengths to explain various aspects of about him, about divinity, about bhakti. So he's giving us everything that we need to establish ourselves in Bhakti Yoga. So as I said, this chapter, it will show a very unique aspect of how Krishna is, and Krishna's divinity is present in everything, every being, every object, and it is helping us to see the hand of Krishna in every aspect of life. So in the Isha Upanishad, it is said very beautifully, Isha vasyamidam sarvam yat kincham jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita ma grudah kasya sviddinam. So it says, all this, whatsoever moves in this universe, including the universe itself, is pervaded or enveloped or clothed by the Lord. So, renouncing the ego and worldly attachments, we should enjoy. And it also says, as a side effect of this understanding, you should not lust behind anybody's wealth. I mean, it is a side effect. Once you understand that everything is pervaded by the Lord, everything is pervaded by the divine, then automatically the non-attachment will come. So the key is, we have to renounce our sense of ownership and attachment. So the message is, if we can do that, then we can truly enjoy things and truly enjoy people by realizing the divinity in them. See? So in other words, once we let go, I hope everybody understands that attachment, desire and attachment, they are a function of the ego. No, it is our ego that runs behind things. It is the ego that wants to hold on to things, attachment. So once we let go of the ego-driven desire and attachment, then we can have a deeper sense of contentment and joy, because that comes only by recognizing the divinity. See, the message is not that you have to give up everything in life. I mean, you can still keep your car, you can still keep your house. That is not the message. The message is the attachment that we have, the sense of ownership and pride that we have. If we give that away, then we can have true contentment and true joy. Otherwise, no matter how many things we have, how many things we possess, we will never feel peaceful, we will never truly feel joyful. That is the whole message here. And this is not new. Krishna said this already in the 5th chapter. So, in 5th chapter, the 11th shloka, Krishna said, Kayena manasa buddhya kaivaler indriyairapi yoginah karma kuruvanti sangam tyakt vatma shuddhaye. The yogis, while giving up attachment, they perform actions with their body, senses, mind and intellect only for the purpose of self-purification. So the first part is yogis give up attachment. That is the first part. And once they give up attachment, they are able to perform nishkama karma. And their ultimate goal of doing anything is self-purification. See, it all makes sense. Now, moreover, chapter 10, it emphasizes the importance of recognizing and appreciating the divine qualities within ourselves and others, of course, but very important. We have to appreciate and acknowledge the divinity within us. What happens when we have the divinity within us? Does anybody remember what is the primary hurdle in developing faith to God? I think
Self-doubt. Self-doubt.
Yes, Solataji rightly said. Self-doubt, whether I deserve, whether I'm good enough, whether God will actually care about me. Those questions come, they always come. They come to everybody. Even great saints get that question, So that self-doubt, if it has to go away, the fundamental thing is, first of all, if you can acknowledge and identify the divinity within us, that is one more step towards removing that self-doubt. Because at the end of the day, the same divine is within us. And we have to believe that. We have to internalize that. That is one of the things that we learn in chapter 10. Krishna will explain it very beautifully. Now in the 5th chapter, Krishna had again said something similar. Krishna had said, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. The translation is, one who knows the divine nature of my birth and actions in truth, having abandoned the body, does not undergo rebirth. Such a person reaches me, O Arjuna. So, whatever Krishna is explaining in 10th chapter, if we can internalize that, and if we can actually practice that in real life, Krishna says, such a person, they get liberated. They will come to me. And also, in chapter 6, Krishna had said, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami ta cha me na pranashyati. For those who see me everywhere and see all things in me, I am never lost, nor are they ever lost to me. See, we discussed that after chapter 6, from chapter 6 onwards, the bhakti part becomes very prominent. And as you can see, I have just quoted a few shlokas here. But pretty much, these chapters are all taking us towards that path, taking us towards bhakti. And chapter 10 is where Krishna dives deep into the divinity of the reality behind his presence, his manifestations. So in the beginning of this chapter, Krishna says, Bhuya eva mahabaho shrunu me paramam vachaha. Mahabaho is Arjuna, that you all know. Now Krishna is using the word paramam. He says, Shrunu me paramam vachaha. So that paramam is a very special word, especially in this context, because it is in the beginning of 10th chapter, which is talking about the divine manifestations of the Lord. So, we all know that there are multiple avtaras. Okay, so not just multiple avtaras, there are multiple types of avtaras. We spoke about that earlier. So, out of that, Paramam is that which has all 6 opulences. What are the 6 opulences? Strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. All of them together. So, when Krishna manifested on this earth, he demonstrated all of them in full potency. And that is a mark of Paramam, a Parama avatar. So, in the Bhagavad Purana, in the first canto, there is a sloka, 28 sloka, that the explanation is all of these incarnations. Now pay attention, because there are a few key words used here, which you will find these words in pretty much any scholarly explanation on this topic. So that is why I took this sloka as a reference. So the explanation says all of these incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. And the Lord incarnates to protect the theists. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, which means Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead himself. And then we saw a term here. The term was plenary portions. So that is what I wanted to explain. It's a concept which is used in Vedic literature. It describes the relationship between Supreme Lord and the various incarnations or various expansions. So, because that will help us understand the Lord's manifestation. So, in the context of Bhagavad Purana, in that sloka, there is a term used, Amsha Kalaha, which refers to plenary portion or parts of the plenary portions of the Lord. So, plenary portions is Amsha. They are complete expansions of the Lord that possesses all the qualities and potencies of the original. So, The original Lord is complete. Original Lord is perfect. The original Supreme Divine has everything. And when we say Paramam, the Paramam Avatara or the plenary portion, that means any Avatara that is the exact copy. In other words, that has everything that the Supreme has. So it's not different from the Supreme. So Krishna, that is why they say that Krishna is God. We usually, when we read Vaishnava texts, they will not say Krishna was a avatar of God. They will say Krishna is God. No, that is the whole idea of a plenary portion. Paramam Avatara. There are other examples of plenary portions which are like, we discussed the 3 types of Vishnu. Who remembers the 3 types of Vishnu? Raise your hands. Lakshmi ji, Sulata ji, who else? Suchita ji, who are the 3 types?
Sarvadai Vishnu.
Yes.
I forgot. Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. And
Yes.
third one I forgot.
Third one is the most important, Karano Dakshay Vishnu.
Karuna Dakshai Vishnu.
Yes, the Mahavishnu. So very good. Excellent. So you remember those Vishnus are also plenary portions because they are not different from the Supreme. It's the same Supreme. Okay, that is the whole idea. In other words, what we are supposed to understand is there are different avatars, there are different types of avatars, and there is a hierarchy, and everything has a purpose. And Krishna was a Parama Avatara, which is God Himself. And He is explaining His divinity. He is explaining the divine aspects of divinity. And that is why it is the source of absolute truth for us. And so there is a text called Chaitanya Charitamrita. I have spoken about this earlier. Someday we can study that also. It's one of the best texts on bhakti. So there in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says that Krishna Guru Bhakta Shakti Avatara Prakasha Krishna Ei Chaya Rupe Karina Vilasa. Lord Krishna enjoys by manifesting Himself as Guru, devotee, all the diverse energies, incarnations and plenary portions. And then there is a term used. They are all 6 in 1. So what it means, the phrase they are all 6 in 1 emphasizes this is a very, what I'm trying not to go too technical, but at the same time, I don't want to oversimplify because there is a lot of beauty and there is a lot of depth in these topics. So I will try to find a balance. If it sounds too technical, raise your hands. Or if it sounds too simple, then also raise your hands and I will rebalance my explanations. Okay. So here there is a term that says they are all 6 in 1, which emphasizes a very key part of Vedantic philosophy. It emphasizes that the unity and the non-difference between Krishna and the various manifestations. What does it mean? It means although they appear in different forms and roles, they are ultimately expansions of Krishna only. So there is a beautiful word for this. This concept is known as Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva, which basically means the simultaneous oneness and difference between the Lord and His manifestations. Make sense? The same also and different also. That is the whole concept here. It's a very fundamental concept in Vaishnava philosophy. That's why I wanted to bring that up to you. We can go deeper at some point later also on that particular topic. Especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever he taught, that is what is today known as Gaudiya Vaishnavism, that came from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There this term is very relevant. Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. So Achintya means inconceivable, beyond material reasoning. Bheda is difference. Abheda means non-difference or oneness. And Tattva is truth or reality. So you put it all together, you get Achintya Beda Abheda Tattva. Okay, so in short, again, it just means simultaneously there is oneness as well as difference. And we need to try and comprehend that. Oneness and difference between what and what? Between Krishna and his plenary portions. Like Krishna and Vishnu, Krishna and Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Krishna and Karanodakshay Vishnu. they are one and different, because it's different because we are calling it differently and we are talking about different aspects. Oneness because there is no difference really. You know, see, when I was in school, some of you may remember, and especially people who are fond of chemistry. So I still remember the term that caught my attention. There was a term that said that diamond is just an allotropic form of carbon. And I just couldn't wrap my head around that. What do they mean by... Because I always thought carbon means something worthless. I mean, carbon means, I thought it is somewhat like charcoal or something. And diamond is something very precious. And this one sentence that said, it is just an allotropic form of carbon. I'm like, what are they talking about, you know? But here, that is the same aspect. You know, you can look at anything. It is non-different. Like a diamond is still a form of carbon, just like that. You know, or I could say the other way around. A carbon and diamond, they are one and different at the same time. Just like that, Achintya Beda Abheda Tattva is the nature of the divine. You can see diversity. We can see diverse millions and billions and trillions of manifestations. So they are all different in some way. Like I'm different, Deepa is different, Ekansh is different in a way. But at the core, we all are the same divine spark. Our soul is all part of the same Supreme. So we are one also. I mean, it may seem logical. It may seem, in one aspect, this may seem very simple and logical, of course, yeah. But if you have to realize that, theorizing is the easy part. Saying that we and God are same and different at the same time, theorizing it is okay. But can you realize that? And Krishna says that is realization. And that is why they say that he who has actually realized cannot explain. And who can explain has not realized. So, because that is the nature of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva of Sri Krishna. In other words, Lord Krishna is the ultimate source, ultimate enjoyer. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. And he manifests himself in these 6 ways to engage in his divine pastimes and to interact with his devotees. That's the main purpose. So by understanding and appreciating this aspect of Sri Krishna, of being one and separate at the same time, we can deepen our relationship with him and experience his presence in all aspects of our life. That should be the goal. So now let's go back to the first verse of this chapter where this all started because I started expanding on the word Paramam. The first shloka where Krishna said he is Paramam. And we said there are 6 opulences for Paramam. What are those 6? First is Virya. Virya means strength. Second is Yash. Yash is fame. Third is Aishwarya, is wealth. Then fourth is Jnana, knowledge. And fifth is Saundarya, which is beauty. That's why Krishna is always the attractive. And the sixth is Vairagya. That's the most beautiful part. Possessing all these 5, the sixth is Vairagya, which is renunciation. Krishna is the perfect renunciate, perfectly non-attached. So this is one of the other aspects of this shloka in the very famous mantra that we all have heard. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. That's pretty much what it says. It says God is perfect and God is complete. And because he is complete and perfect, everything that emanates from him is also complete and perfect. So there are great sages and spiritual masters such as Parashara Muni, and they have... Do you know who is Parashara Muni? Parashara Muni is the father of Ved Vyas. Do you all know who is Ved Vyas?
Mahabharata and
Yeah, we are studying his work only. So
yeah.
Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, they are composed by Ved Vyas. And Parashara Muni was his father. So even such spiritual masters like Parashara Muni, they have recognized Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. And the scriptures, they provide a lot of evidence and they provide a lot of philosophical insights to support this conclusion. There is evidence also. If you are interested, we can go read those things. But we are all bhakti yogis. What that means is, if your guru tells you that Krishna is perfect, you just believe, you just have faith, and you say Krishna is perfect. Okay. So then Krishna says that he was delighted with Arjuna's keen interest. Now see, this part is very important for all of us here. Okay, because very key aspect that Krishna is bringing out. He says he's delighted with Arjuna's keen interest. And to help him progress in his bhakti, Krishna is declaring that he will narrate his vibhutis, his supreme glories. And here, Krishna will call Arjuna as Priyamanaya, beautiful word, which means my beloved confidante. So beautiful, two words in one. So Krishna is using the term Priyamanaya to address Arjuna. It is very, very important because it is signifying the deep bond of love and trust between the teacher and the student. The teacher is Krishna, student is Arjuna. That bond of love and trust is very, very important because that is what is a catalyst for transmission of divine knowledge. You don't need that kind of a bond for material knowledge. Material knowledge, you can go watch YouTube and you will get it, or you can go read a book, you will get it. But divine knowledge is like a seed that sprouts into a beautiful tree. But for that, the soil has to be right, the moisture has to be right, the warmth has to be right. And that is what Krishna is trying to explain here, is that kind of a bond has to exist between the teacher and the student. When that exists, the divine knowledge gets transmitted. Then the divine knowledge gets internalized. Then the divine knowledge becomes beautifully powerful and useful to the student. So we are talking about Krishna's divinity in this chapter, but before we go any deeper, Krishna is giving us an idea of the student. What is required for the student to appreciate and understand and internalize this. Okay, so there are three qualities, essential qualities of a student in this context that Krishna is calling out. What are the three qualities that Arjuna possessed? First quality, surrender. Back in the second chapter we saw where Arjuna pretty much told Krishna, maybe you can take a note and go read it yourself. It was Shloka 2.7, where Arjuna tells Krishna that, Krishna, I am confused, and I no longer know what is best for me. I am totally confused, and I am now your student. I am surrendering to you completely. Please teach me. So that happens back in the second chapter. So that is the first quality. Arjuna totally surrenders. He is capable of... See, this is something Sulataji reminded us in the last session is, if you are so poor that you can't even get a meal for yourself, and then you are saying that I'm giving up wealth, what kind of a joke is that? What was yours to give anyway, right? You didn't anyway sell. Just like that, you are so weak that you can hardly stand up. And there is a powerful enemy standing in front of you and you are saying I surrender to you. Of course you surrender. What else can you do? Because you are so weak anyways. But look at Arjuna. Arjuna, Krishna himself calls him as Mahabaho. The strong armed. Arjuna was a fearful warrior. Very strong. He was also brilliant. And he surrenders to Krishna. He says I completely surrender. That is the state of mind we should all have. We should all have that mindset of surrender for it to... That is the first aspect, because only then Krishna is going to reveal the divine knowledge. The second aspect that Arjuna had was faith. Unwavering faith. This is where we use the term pariprashna, because Arjuna will ask questions to help understand, but he will never question Krishna. Very, very key difference, fundamental difference. So Arjuna never questions the teacher, but he will ask questions in a very humble way to understand. So that is the second aspect of faith, because he has faith in Krishna. And the third is what Krishna called out right now. Just a few minutes ago we saw. Krishna said, I am impressed with your genuine interest. That is the third aspect, which is very important for a student. Not just passing curiosity. It has to be genuine interest. So Arjuna was not seeking knowledge just based on curiosity, but he was seeking knowledge because he really wanted to deepen his bhakti. He wanted to develop that kind of devotion to Krishna. So according to Krishna, when a devotee has these three qualities of surrender, faith and genuine interest, then Krishna himself will help you understand his divinity. Krishna himself will help you understand all the divine knowledge, guhya knowledge. See, that's what we need to understand here. I have added a lot of notes here on how to develop surrender, how to develop more faith, and how to develop genuine interest. You can read it when I post it. I don't want to spend too much time reading about all of that. So Sri Krishna, after saying this, after telling Arjuna that I am impressed, I am happy with you having these qualities, then he starts describing the divine knowledge. And what does he start with? He starts by telling Arjuna that nobody knows me fully. He says, not even these gods, not even these saints and sages know me fully. Why? Because they all came much later than me. See, it's like a child. Unless the mother tells the child, this is your father, the child will not know the father. Because the child came later, the mother came first. And the mother knows the father. Just like that, Krishna is saying that all of these people, however great they are, they don't know me completely. I have to tell them. Only then they will know. Just like I am telling you about my divinity and about my vibhutis. And then Krishna goes on to establish his supremacy, and he explains how he is the creator. And he says, I created these great sages also, these Saptarishis. Even that I only created. I created the Kumaras. I created the 14 Manus. You know who the Saptarishis are? They are the root of our Vedantic culture. So there are Marich, Angira, Atri, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu and Vashishta. These are the 7 Saptarishis. Very important people in our culture. And then we have the 4 Kumaras, Sanak, Sanandan, Sanat and Sanatan. They were all Manus Putras of Brahma. And they're all known for their purity and wisdom. So by mentioning that he created all of these people, Krishna is emphasizing his divine authority. And Krishna is emphasizing how he existed beyond time and space. And he is the source of everything, even the most venerated ones that we have seen or heard about. After this, then he shifts the focus. He shifts the focus to how can we attain true knowledge of the divine. There he is emphasizing that the mental powers and physical strength are not going to help here. This theme also is repeating, correct? We have seen this theme multiple times. That your intellect, your physical strength, your willpower, they are not going to help when it comes to bhakti or when it comes to understanding the true divinity of Krishna. The only way to know him is through his grace. And how is that grace going to come? The grace is going to come through surrender. And that is why he is giving importance to cultivating a loving relationship, a trusted loving relationship with the Guru, and through that relationship with the God. That is how it works. So that is one of the aspects that we need to always keep in mind is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Keep reminding, if we keep reminding ourselves, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he owns everything, then automatically it becomes easier to be a little less proud and, be a little humble. Okay. And Sri Krishna has also mentioned one more thing. I think this we discussed, yesterday in the other session. So that was called the 3-point peace formula. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam, first aspect. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, second aspect. Somebody other than Lakshmi ji or Sulata ji, what is the third aspect?
Suhridam Surada.
Okay. Okay. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. That is the third aspect. So these three we have to keep in mind all the time. Again, first one, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. Whatever we offer, whatever we do, at the end of the day, the enjoyer is Krishna. So don't be in the mindset that you are doing something for your own enjoyment. that is going to not be aligned with the path. Okay. Second aspect, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So he owns everything. So don't get into the mindset of ownership. So ownership, doership should not be there. The third aspect, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. So although he owns everything, although he is all powerful on all everything, he is also our selfless, loving friend. Sarvabhutanam, not just friends of humans, he is friends of all beings. That is his. Okay. Why are we talking about that here? Because once you remind yourself of this, then you will be able to feel peace and you will be able to practice samatvam, calmness. See, even today, even now, right now, we have like, I think around 20 people in the session or 24 people. I'm not counting correctly, but all of us are not able to grasp this knowledge at the same level. Why? We all have the same brains. But what is the problem? The problem is we are not all calm here inside. There are a million things going on. There are some fears, there are some worries, there are some issues that we have in our minds. So that has to be addressed. And this is what Krishna has repeated many times. Samatvam, 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 samatvam. We're practicing samatvam. And how do we practice samatvam? Remember, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam. It will come. And once it comes, then everything else that Krishna says will make sense. We will have the peace and we will have the calmness to grasp all of that and internalize all of that. That is the whole point. And then Krishna goes on to explain the 20 different qualities of living entities, and he says how all of them are created by him. So I'll quickly talk about the 20. They are Buddhi, Jnanam, Asammoham, which is absence of delusion. Sammoham means delusion. Asammoham means lack of delusion. Kshama, Satyam, and then Sama and Dhamma. Sama is calmness of mind and Dhamma is restraint of, or you could say Sama is control of your mind and Dhamma is control of your senses. Sukham, Dukham, and then Bhava, which is birth, Abhava, which is death, Bhaya, which is fear, Abhaya, fearlessness, Ahimsa, Samata, equality, Tushti is contentment, Tapa is austerity, Dhanam is charity, Yash is fame and Ayash is infamy. So Krishna is specifically calling out these 20 qualities. You can read it later. I will send you the notes. And he says all of them have been created by me. So the key point is, what Krishna is also saying is, while all these qualities are created by me, how they manifest in your own life depends on your sanskaras. Very beautiful, powerful mechanism he is explaining here. Saying all of them exist, but how they actually manifest in your life, all of these qualities in different ways, that depends on your own sanskaras. It is like saying there are 150 satellite radio channels. And Krishna is saying, I am responsible for all 150 channels, which includes hip-hop and rap and classical and instrumental and all of that. But which music is playing in your house depends on what channel you are tuned to. Just like that, Krishna says, all these 20 qualities I have created, but how they manifest in your life is based on your own sanskaras. So what are we supposed to understand? We are supposed to understand is the divine energy itself is not responsible for what happens. It is our own sanskaras, how we perceive and how we act on it, that makes it either good or bad. It's just kind of a technical term, but I think it's not that hard to understand either. So this is what we learned back in the 9th chapter. Probably you remember, in the 9th chapter we said that, or Krishna said that nothing is inherently good or evil. You remember we spoke about the example of mobile phone, and one mobile phone is playing good music, one mobile phone is playing something really bad, and then we asked, does it mean that this phone is good and that phone is bad? No, because it was basically what it is playing. Just like that, we cannot say this person is good, that person is bad, because it is not the person which is good or bad. It is the gunas that are acting on through the person which are creating this perception of good or bad. And that is the same thing here we need to understand is, although all these 20 qualities are created by Krishna, it is our own samskaras, our own gunas, so many things in play. So, and then whatever we covered, verse 10.1 through 10.6, Krishna is explaining how he is the one without beginning and how he is beyond understanding and how he is the source of all the qualities. And now in the next verses, Krishna will explain the importance of, we are studying, but then Krishna is going to tell us why it is important to accept Krishna's nature and Krishna's powers. So that's going to be coming in the next set of shlokas. So with that, I can stop talking. Hare Krishna. Hope it all made sense. I've also created a concise notes on understanding Bhakti Yoga. So I have it with me. I can share it separately in the group. It will be good if you can all go through that also. It will be very helpful. So Hare Krishna, thank you so much for your continued support and association. Did anyone have any questions or comments before we talk about anything else?
The beginning of the chapter, it started with that when you started the shlokas, Vibhuti Yoga. So does it have any specific significance? Like each of, no, when you played this thing.
When I
The
played
first-
The
Uh,
first starting, Bhagavad Gita,
Yeah.
Vibhuti Yoga.
Yeah. So Vibhuti, that is the title of this chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti is the yoga of divine manifestation. That is the meaning of that word, Vibhuti.
Vibhuti. Okay.
Yes. So Vibhuti basically means the power of manifestation. So when we say Vibhuti Yoga, we are talking about the yoga of divine manifestations, the power of divine manifestations.
Manifestation itself is so powerful, I mean, and this is divine manifest.
Yeah, it is the manifestation of the divine and
Okay.
the yoga of that. So that is what we meant by, we can say, nirguna aspect or saguna aspect. So when we say nirguna aspect means you cannot see God, you cannot feel God, you cannot touch God, you cannot hear God, like it's beyond all of that. It is nirguna and it is something that is abstract. Whereas when we talk about the other aspect of God, you can see God everywhere and then you can see God in everything. Two aspects of it. So Krishna is here explaining this aspect where you can see God in everything. Like whatever you see God in that. That is the other aspect. That is where Vibhuti Yoga comes in. And that is what is the path chosen by Bhakti Yogis. Because Bhakti Yogis, they prefer to focus on what they can see. So they prefer to focus on the form of Krishna. And now Krishna says, it is not just this one body that is me, but you should learn to see me in the dog, in that elephant, in the deer, in the tree, in the plant, or in your friends, in your parents, in your guru, and all of that. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it's great. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions or comments? Let's make sure that we are totally internalizing these things. Intellectually understanding is not that important. What is most important is everything should make sense. And we should understand why we are learning what we are learning and how to apply it. That is what is the most important part of this. Okay. So with that, we can conclude this session, the first session. Once again, thank you everybody. So maybe I'll stop recording for this part. Hare Krishna.